beautiful people. Welcome to the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Penina Wachera, and I hope you guys are woken up well and you're ready to face your day. So today I have a very, very awesome show in store for you, but you know how we do it here. Before anything else, let's go straight to the morning bite of the day. So, guys, as you've seen from the morning bite of the day, today we're talking about mental health. I know you've been hearing us speaking about mental health most of the time on our shows here on Younib TV. Now, mmekuwa mkishangaa, we have been saying about we have our own professional psychologist here at Younib TV. But najua hamjakuja ama hamjaiona hao wase mbele ya screen. And today we are here to be able to bring you these professionals to teach you more about mental health conversation. So without further ado, karibuni sana kwenye Younib Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I would like you guys to introduce yourselves.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Beulah. I am a facilitator at PSC, Psychosocial Support Center. And what we do there is just to create an open space where guys can come with all that they are carrying, and we figure it out together. We help them to realize that they do have inside of them what they need to overcome the challenges that they have. So yeah, this is what gives me joy to grow with people. So thank you so much for this chance.
Welcome. Yes,
All right,
please.
then. My name is Kenneth Ndogoni. I'm also a facilitator at Psychosocial Support Center. And as Beulah said, our work is to basically help people help themselves, help them identify whatever struggles they're going through mentally, and offer resolutions that they can take to better their lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm Valentine Ndiwa. I am a psychological counselor, currently working with the Younib organization. Like we have the Younib TV. So basically, Younib organization is an organization that focuses on empowering the youth. So currently at Younib, we have free mental health program that is offering free counseling services to youth. The age bracket of this youths are from 11 to 34 years. So Younib is working with an amazing organization from German. It's Simiyu. Yes.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Mutembei Muthami. I'm a facilitator from Psychosocial Support Center. And as my colleagues have said, our goal is to provide a space where guys can feel comfortable to come here, and we always emphasize that it's okay to not be okay, and because of that we will work with you and try and solve the issues that are maybe bothering you. And yeah,
Thank you so much for coming. Wow, guys. I hope you guys have been able to get your introduction. I hope mmesikia all of them are talking about how we need to work on our mental health in all ways. To set us off, I'd like Valentine, please explain to us about mental health. We've been hearing people talking about mental health, and maybe we have questions in our heads asking ourselves what is really mental health. So please tell us more about it.
Thank you so much, Penina, for having me. So before I talk about what mental health is really all about, I would like to say that there are different aspects of health. So we have the physical health, we have the spiritual health, and we have the mental health. So before I even define what mental health is all about, let's talk about health. What is health? What does health mean in general? So health in general just means wellness or a state of well-being. So if we understand what health is, and then we bring the aspect of mental. Mental is about our mind. The physical is about our body. And then our spiritual. A man is made up of the body, the mind, and the spirit. So the spirit talks about the spiritual health. Now the mind is when we associate it with the mental health. So mental health is just the well-being of your mind. And when I talk about the well-being of your mind, I'm talking about how you feel. What are you thinking about? So the fact that we are even here discussing, it means that we have a proper mental health because we are able to communicate. We are aware of our feelings, and we can even check on how we behave. For example, if I asked you, what did you do on Saturday? I assume that there is, you have that ability to recall of the activities that you did on Saturday or on Sunday. That is because of our mind. So many people assume that when we talk about mental health, they tend to think of very strange things or something like disorders. So for me, I can just say if you are mentally healthy, it doesn't mean that you are out of problems. In our lives, we all have problems. So when somebody who is mentally healthy, it means that they have these mental problems. All of us do have mental problems. The difference between having these mental problems and even the disorders, which I believe we are going to talk about, is that we have the problems and we are able to cope with the problem. So mental health is basically the state of being well in your mind. So it also relates to you having difficulties and challenges, but it means you have the ability to cope. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, guys. I hope already Msha realized. And I love the way you have brought us to understand first health so that we can be able to understand mental health. That was really, really brilliant. It was really good. So, you have spoken about the types of disorders, if I've gotten you correctly. So, who can elaborate for us more about the disorders or the types of mental health problems?
Okay, I'll still speak on the types of disorders that we have. So, first of all, we need to understand what's the meaning of a disorder. A disorder is basically a condition that is so severe and it causes distress in your life in a way that it affects how you think, how you feel, and even how you behave. For example, you are a host here at Younib TV. You are able to come to work each and every day. That's because your mind is okay. Not because you don't have mental problems. Could be something is stressing your life. But now, when we talk about this disorder, when you reach to that state of having a mental disorder, basically it means that even that ability of you coming to work and even hosting many shows and interviews has been interfered with and has been altered with. So these disorders are what affects the way we think, the way we feel, and even the way we behave. For example, many people have had the issues with this, a condition like depression. So when you talk about depression, somebody who is depressed, if, for example, I were depressed, even coming and sitting here, something as simple as washing my face, my clothes, or even visiting my friends, if I was used to visiting my friends, I will not be able to do that. So that behavior has been altered because of the disorder that I am having. So when you talk of disorders, there are many types of disorders, mental disorders. We have anxiety disorders. And when we talk of anxiety disorders, there are different categories and groups of anxiety disorders. For example, there are those people who have specific phobias. For example, there are also those people, and there are also people who have social phobia. Like there is this person who is just afraid of going out there and meeting in a crowd because they are afraid maybe the crowd is going to cause them harm. And there are also some people who have this disorder of being enclosed in a, you see, like the way we are in this room.
Yeah.
There are people who have those kind of disorders, those kind of phobias. And the phobias fall under the anxieties disorder. And then we have the mood disorders, when we talked about the depression. And then we also have this common thing that people really, some people out there, if your mood is not okay, somebody can just say, why are you behaving like somebody who has bipolar? And maybe in real sense, they don't know. Even when we were in school, our lecturers used to make bipolar look like it's something so good. So for me, I was thinking like your moods are high, and then at some time they are just low. So until now, you meet somebody who has this bipolar disorder. It's just that this regulation of your mood. So we've talked about the anxieties, we've talked about the mood disorders. We also have personality disorder. For example, there are people who have histrionic personality disorder. We also have, other than personality, we also have neurodevelopmental disorder. So that we have conditions such as autism or attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So when we talk about mental disorder, there are so many that we cannot exhaust them on one sitting. So I believe as we'll be continuing with this discussion about mental health, because I've talked about anxiety, I've talked about the mood disorders, we want people to have insight of what these conditions really are, so that at the end, I believe my colleagues here will be talking of the different types of interventions that exist for people who are suffering from these disorders. Thank you.
Wow, it's interesting that you guys have been able to now understand like the types of disorders ziko. So mkisikia now, I know even when you're going outside to work, or maybe if you're just even meeting up with friends, you can easily explain to them what kind or what types of mental health issues are there, Cindy. And I know we have been enlightened more on this, and I would like to know more when it comes to matters, factors that can lead to poor mental health. Please.
Right. So again, as let me just pick up from where Valentine ameachilia. The whole point of this is to build insight, and it's not for us kwanza, to notice one thing and you're like, pengine niko na depression. It's not for us to diagnose ourselves, because as she said, there's a lot of factors that come into play for us to give that diagnosis. We have to look at the period of time in which umekuwa suffer with whatever symptoms. You have to look at your functionality, because if it's something that un experience when you just at work, then perhaps you need more conversation on what's happening at work as opposed to a generalized diagnosis of this is it. Yeah, so we need the functionality needs to be impaired in at least 2 settings. So kama home na kazi, or home na social spaces, at least 2 settings, then we can now start asking more questions to narrow down on what's happening. Yeah, but even before we go into factors, because they kind of attach, it's important to start by becoming aware of yourself. Naanze kujua ni nini yukwambia wewe uko poa. Like, does your appetite start going up, down, everywhere? You don't feel like eating, or you want to eat all the time? Is your sleep also being affected? Either haulali poa, ama it's too much, or it's those ones where you sleep for like an hour, you wake up for 2, you try and sleep again. So these are sometimes the signs that your body gives you, that you're probably heading towards. You need to be in check with your mental health. Because tumesema, it's not just about having a disorder, but it's also being able to function vizuri, to think clearly, to relate with people vizuri, to process and receive information vizuri. So it touches on all things health, just as Valentine said. So as we're talking about what are the factors that now affect these things, so unaona sometimes you can look into families and see the things that are passing down. The most common example is tuseme alcohol or drugs, where you can say guka yangu, baba yangu, sasa mimi, my brothers, some things look like that. So there kuna kwanga na a genetic component to some of these struggles, even to things like depression or schizophrenia. But it's not to say that now that uliona guka na anko, it means for you it's definite. It's just that you're more predisposed. Like ukipata a stressful environment, it would be, let me use the word easier to, the correct word is not coming, but you're more likely to suffer from that thing as opposed to someone who lacks your history in the family. So kuna venye genetics comes into play. Then we also have the thing about environment. What's happening around you? What are the stresses going on around you?
Wow. So I know you have not mentioned about the factors really. And I want us to just take a pause there because anyway, you guys know that here at Younib Breakfast Show, we ensure that we educate you on matters, everything. Tuna ensuring that when you are getting in the, when you wake up early in the morning, you get to understand and also to learn something because it's important for you to always learn a skill every single day. And here we try our level best to ensure that you get educated in the morning. So I know tumeongea mambo mingi kiasi and I want us to go and digest what we have had and then we'll come back with more. So let's take this break and we'll be back with more.
Ever the best. Hallelujah. Ever the best. Hallelujah. Ever the best. Hallelujah. Ever the best. Hallelujah.
Welcome back. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Penina Wachera. And you guys, as you're sipping your morning tea, your coffee, ama pia, unajua, because of this economy, most of the people prefer kukula chakula asubuhi. Anyway, regardless of what you're taking in the morning, we are here to bring you information in matters mental health. And before the break, we were speaking about, we were getting to know the introduction, the teeny details that are there when it comes to matters mental health. So remember, you can interact with us through our social media platforms, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and also on the number on your screen, that is 0719 144 144. You can SMS or WhatsApp us, and we will interact with you or even answer your questions that you have to ask. So coming back to the discussion, we've heard about the conversation, some factors that help or make people get poor health, mental health as a whole, sindio. So kidogo, I want us to go specifically to environment. I know environment is really influential when it comes to matters mental health. So please elaborate for us more about the environment.
Thank you. First of all, every human being is a product of their experiences and their upbringing. So usually when poor mental health starts, it usually starts when someone is really young. And our parents or our guardians are the main factors that that determine how we develop. And from around 6 years old is when a child, their personality starts becoming more and more concrete. So whatever one experiences through their childhood, whatever setting they were given when they were young, gets to affect them the more they grow older. And first of all, first environmental factor would be how you were brought up, the homestead you were brought up in, the environment, whether it was dirty, whether it was clean. All these factors and all these conditions lead to some kind of neurodevelopmental problem in the future. So from childhood, whatever you pick up as a child gets stored, and even if you don't have memories of that particular event, how you behave from that point on determines how you grow up. So, for example, if a child at 6 years old was used to being berated, they were just told negative things all the time, they will grow up knowing that is their sense of self-worth. That is how they view themselves. And whenever they come to interact with other people, that is the vibe they give out. So, Confano, let's say I was bullied a lot when I was younger. I will have difficulties expressing myself because I'll always look at another human being as a threat instead of maybe a friend or someone you can talk to. The other factor would be the school settings. Schools determine a lot, especially for teenagers, how they interact with other people as they advance into their professional lives, even as they develop relationships. So schools, especially when it comes to caning and corporal punishments of any sort, and bullying, because bullying does create negative mentalities, because it reduces your confidence. Your sense of confidence goes down. Your interactions with others goes down. So you start becoming more and more introverted, as Valentine said. How your moods go up and down. That's also developed in early childhood and teenage years because of hormones and just generally growing up. Your body does tend to naturally fluctuate up and down, up and down. But when you're in a constant state of being put down, 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 it becomes your norm. And for you, then it becomes like something you're used to. Your environment becomes a negative. And so you think being negative is the only option there is. Another factor would be our general environment. If you live in a poor homestead, or if you live in an environment where it's dirty, there's always sewage around, your mental picture will tell you that I live in a dirty place, so I'm kind of sort of dirty as well. And you will also start expressing those characteristics. So you don't shower, you just generally don't care about your sense of looking, how you look, and also how you treat others, because your mind is in a, I would say, quote unquote, dirty place. When you relate with other people, you do not respect them. You just treat them like a by the way, like they're just a means to an end. So your relationship values or how you value relationships really suffers. So as I said, then again I'll talk about a clean environment. So I'm just so that I'm not negative.
Yeah.
People who generally grow up in a positive environment, you're told that you're loved. When you make a mistake, you're told what you did wrong and then you're corrected. Basically, a positive, how should I put this? A positive way of speaking, because how we speak to one another also does matter. You notice that children generally tend to go to their mothers more when they're talking, when they need something.
Yeah.
Mothers or women have a very calm and understanding way of expressing themselves, and then men can be a bit rough or not know how to be sensitive.
Yeah.
So children pick that up. So that's why when you talk to women, you generally tend to be more sensitive. When you talk to a guy, you tend to be more direct. And when that person grows, they learn to respect the differences between men and women. You know that women are nurturers because you are nurtured well, so you treat them well. And you know men are, not all men, but most of them, they provide a sense of security. So as if you're a man, you generally see these are the kind of roles I should play. So mentally, you'll also end up becoming strong because you were guided, you were protected when you were young, so you feel the need to reciprocate the feeling to your colleagues, your friends. You generally just treat people better. And in school settings, if you're encouraged to learn, you actually enjoy it, and it becomes not a chore but an activity you find fun. So the more you know, the more you're happier you are, and the more you gain a sense of confidence because, I mean, the more you know, the more you can do. Lastly, I would touch on the spiritual aspect. I've talked of how the physical environment can affect how you generally perceive yourself.
Yeah.
I've talked about how when someone is nurtured and how they're raised, they generally tend to be a decent human being.
Yeah.
But there's also the spiritual aspect. Going to church, because we are, as Valentine said, it's mind, body, soul. If the soul is not taken care of, it can start leaking out and becoming disorders. For example, if someone who goes to church every day and generally just do it like they like it and it's not a chore for them, they gain a sense of understanding how that human beings need to be respected because we are beings that are made of mind, body, spirit. If the spirit is not taken care of well, it you can just generally start having negative thoughts. You generally stop respecting other figures of authority because, again, from the Bible, authority like God and parents and other people of higher power, or not higher power, higher positions, rather, they generally serve the people, so they generally tend to be respected. But I would like to forward it to my colleague. She's much more versed in spiritual matters, so I'll give it to her.
Right, you would sound like a pastor. So just to continue that conversation on spiritual factors, there's also the fact that as human beings, there's this desire to live for something that's bigger than you. Like that's why kuna kwanga tuna conversation ya purpose ama unauliza mtoto ukigrow up unataka kukua nini. There's always that the hope, the expectation of something is what keeps us going. Sometimes it's what wakes us up in the morning. So when that begins to lack, it becomes it's very intertwined because sometimes it's kukosa your purpose that begins to trickle down now into mental health issues and problems, and sometimes it's those problems that now create this lack of purpose that now creates another cycle of hopelessness, which now lands us into trouble. So kuna the fact that, as Ken has said, the fact that one, we all look towards something that's bigger than ourselves, whether that's God, for Christians, Allah for Muslims, some people, I think it's even the universe. There's just always that kutafuta to something that you can't understand, that you can look to make sense of these things that sometimes how we live. And again, it becomes ni relationship unaona hizi vitu zina interrelate sana. The way Ken and Valentine have very beautifully explained how sometimes it's things in the body that affect how you're feeling. Sometimes it's how you're feeling that affects how your body is feeling. So in the same, for example, now tuseme people who have a lot of anger that hujaachilia, and then you find eventually kuna ulcers develop. So things that started in the soul zinakuja to the body. Sometimes it's haujakula fiti, hujakukilala fiti, you're not exercising. So you start becoming tired. It becomes hard for you to show up for what you need. And now your soul, your mind becomes affected by that. So in the same way, mind and spirit here, the soul and the spirit. So sometimes kuna maybe stresses, some people go to God when they're stressed. Yeah. Some people withdraw from God when they're not okay. Because some go to people, some go to friends that can come and say, Aki Penina ni kubaya. Some go lock themselves up and they're like, nikikuwa fiti is when I'll come. So in the same way, it's important to know how you usually relate. Ndoki notice relationship yako na God or what you believe in may change. It can let you know that maybe you need to check inside. And also, again, it becomes one of those things that we also go to for strength, for comfort. So what's happening when we can't run there for strength and comfort? It means we need to check what's going on And we also need to address things such as guilt, such as shame that can come from trauma that inaanza affect your spirituality, and then inaanza kukua again playing back into what we've called that vicious cycle. Whereas, this side goes bad, it affects this other one, it affects this other one, it goes back to the spirit again. Yeah, so it's just, I think it takes me back to exactly how Valentine started, that when we're talking about mental health, we're just talking about wellness. It means your mind is fine so that your body can be fine, so that your spirit can be fine, so that your mind can be fine. Like inaendelea tu hivyo. Yeah.
I think to just add a brief on the spirituality, see when you're counseling, especially patients, spirituality is one of our protective factors. So protective factors, these are factors that help reduce the stressors that the clients or people who are suffering from these mental disorders are experiencing. So you find that somebody who tends to believe more in God will tend to heal faster than somebody who has nothing to believe in. So the aspect of faith is very important when it comes to mental health, because it really helps. There are those people who love, maybe if they have an issue and they have spiritually grown, meaning that they have a church to attend to, and in their church maybe they get to see their pastors, and if it is for the Muslims, maybe their sheikhs or their imams, those people who teach the Islam faith. Yeah. So you find that if you have a problem and you have a place where you can run into, it means that you will be in a position to handle your issues better, unlike for this person who doesn't believe. Because what keeps us going in this life, it's our spirit. And that is where the aspect of death comes in. So if our spirit is disturbed, you find that sometimes unaweza jipata in this distressing situation whereby una feel like kitu haiko poa, and that's your spirit communicating to you. And that's why mambo na death inakujanga na spirituality. So we cannot talk about mental health leaving out the spiritual aspect, because we are spiritual beings. So spirituality is very, very important, and it's a factor that can lead to mental disorders if it's not well taken care of. Then kulikuwa na history ya the Shakahola thing.
Yeah.
It's something that has been really happening. There is the aspect of religion, and there are those people who are thinking, oh, oops, maybe they have a mental problem that I didn't understand. So spirituality is something that it's very, very, it's sensitive, and it's very important to your mental health.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like we have gotten to understand more when it comes to also how the environment has affected us. I know most of us back in school tulikuwa tuna, kama we ni watu wa kitambo, you're not those people wenye mmezaliwa juzi. If you get me, you get me. In school, most times, your time hakukuwa kumebaniwa the corporal punishments, and it was something that walimu walikuwa, it was like a normal thing for us. And I feel like somehow, to the extent tumebeba hiyo trauma watu wengi, and we don't want to understand, or we don't want to make ourselves understand that it's a problem and we need to cut it off. And sometimes vile umesema about anger, and as people carrying out the anger na stress inawafanya tu wakuwe wagonjwa, it results to affecting the body. So yeah, I've gotten to understand more about how the mind, the body, and the soul are really intertwined, and it's kind of interesting to get to understand that. So guys, najua tunafaa kudigest hizi vitu polepole. Vile unakunywa chai, najua ukunywe haraka ndio isikuchome. So we want to bring the information so easily for you, so that you can be able to also understand it and learn it, because the most important thing is for you to get informed and to get educated in matters mental health during this show. Sindio? So let's take this short commercial break, and we'll be back with more.
Ever the best. Hallelujah. Ever the best. Hallelujah.
Welcome back, guys. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Penina Wachera, and today we're speaking about mental health, and we're getting to understand more matters mental health. And before the break, or before even when we started this conversation, we have been elaborated for what is mental health. We've gotten to understand also the factors that lead to poor mental health, and we've also seen in one way or another, kwa description, ama kwa the conversation, we've seen how the mind, the soul, and the body connect. So we are going back to this discussion, and we want to understand now, if I get to have symptoms or I realize I'm not okay, what can I do? So that is what we'll be doing. Remember, you can interact with us through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and also there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144, and we'll answer your questions, and also try in one way or another to give information through our professionals here. So to go back to the discussion, so if, for example, I find myself that I have seen some of the symptoms that you guys have mentioned during our conversation, what can I do?
Well, first things first, stress is a major part of our lives. We all get stressed, but I feel like I should start by explaining what stress is. Stress is anything that you feel, the unwanted emotions. Sometimes you feel like you can't think clearly. Sometimes you think your heartbeat is beating fast. You put in something that is spiking up your anxiety levels. You get stressed. But in as much as it's part of life, in as much as it's natural to have stress, it is important, really important, to make sure that you regulate them, so that it doesn't get to a chronic condition. And one of the first ways you can actually deal with stress, one of the coping mechanisms, is by support. This entails talking to someone who is very supportive. You get to go to someone, you air out your grievances, you talk about your emotions, and with this, by sharing, like we say, a problem shared is a problem half solved. So the first coping mechanism involves sharing and looking for that supportive group. And then, if in the event where you don't have a support system going on for you, there are things that you can do as an individual to help ease out the emotions. This can involve humor. You can watch a show, you can crack some jokes on your own, just to lift up your spirits, just to give you that feel-good energy. You can also engage in an activity. Some people like to dance, some people like to walk, some people like to go to Kahuria and yell. That's very okay. And in the event, let's say you don't have space, you're at work, you don't know if you can yell at home, you don't know if you want to dance, maybe you're shy. Sometimes you can just breathe. You can just sit down and practice. So you can do some breathing exercises. That means like taking a deep breath in, holding it in, and then releasing. Okay, sometimes you'll find that even the simplest, the easiest of activities can help maybe like get yourself back in the groove, get your head back in the game. In as much as sometimes we deal with stress, sometimes you will find that you're not dealing with stress in the best way possible, because some coping mechanisms can be very healthy and others can be destructive. You'll find that there are people, once they're stressed, they'll get into very destructive behavior. Some will engage into self-harm, some will engage in activities like drinking or smoking, because it takes away the pressure. It takes away the stress from their lives and makes them forget about their issues, their stresses in that moment given. But it's not always the best idea. So in the event where you feel that your coping mechanisms are not the best that you need to be doing, that is when you reach out to a counselor or you reach out for support. And maybe my colleague over here will talk about more about support.
Okay, so when we talk about support, you have to be very careful, especially now for us youths. Yeah, sometimes you usually have those friends, they are fake friends. Some people have shared their experiences where they have had their issues, and they've shared it with their friends, and then what happened the next thing? Or their friends will just laugh. Or if you go to your friend, for example, if you go to your friend and then you tell them that you're stressed because you have been heartbroken by your boyfriend, that is an example. You can tell it to one friend, and then your friend will just laugh at you like it's nothing. They'll be like, "Here too." To that friend of yours, that stressful moment feels like nothing, but to you, you are hurting at that moment. So when you're talking about support is very important, but you have to be very wise. Where are you seeking the support? So we have different support systems. We have our friends, we have the church, we have our parents, we have our sisters, our brothers. Sometimes we even have our colleagues at work. So the kind of a support system that you have will really determine how mentally well you will be as an individual. For when you talk of this support system, if your work environment is really supportive, for example, if you lose maybe a child or if you lose a parent, they'll come in to contribute, they will come in to just be there for you during that mourning or grieving time. So sometimes you have to be very alert when we are talking about this support system. It's very, very important, but some viewers out there might be like having those questions, or maybe they've had those kind of challenges that they've had an issue and they've shared it with a person, and then after sharing it, everybody is aware of the issue that you're going through. So support is very important, but you have to be really careful on whom are you sharing your issues with. So you have to choose an environment or a person who is very understanding, who is respectful, and somebody who cares truly for you. So you have to be very particular about support. My colleague has talked about the breathing. Sometimes the breathing can't work. There is this other coping mechanism where you choose this peaceful environment, for example, like a park. You can take yourself out to a park and just enjoy the nature. Nature has a very good way of communicating to us. So nature is not only about the grass or the vegetation that we have. You can just watch over the moon, the sun, the stars, and you'll find that eventually you are feeling nice. And sometimes you might experience some symptoms which tend not to go away. So we have other interventions. So speaking to a counselor is when now you notice your issues are extreme, you can't cope with them as an individual person, or your church has tried, your mother has tried, your friends has tried, and you're noticing that you're not able to function well. So this is where you go to professional now, like us and my colleagues here at PSC. So we'll be able to first of all do an assessment to try and find out like the issue that you're suffering from, and then now from there we've been trained to handle different types of mental health conditions. So other interventions other than those self-coping mechanisms, we have places like us. We have hospitals, like for example, the famous Mathare Hospital. I'm sure most of our viewers out there are they are aware of what Mathare does. There are people who are psychologically disturbed to the extent that they cannot even relate well with other people. So we have these facilities that are able to cater for such people. So I can just ask my colleague to elaborate more on that.
Thank you, Valentine. To elaborate more on facilities that help those with mental distress, um, one of the primary ones, or one of the most common, are rehabilitation centers or rehabs. They're not just for people who take substances or those who have having difficulties controlling their substance use. You can also go there if you feel a sense of distress, because the purpose of a rehab is to recollect yourself, to give you the amount of time and space for you to collect your thoughts. Uh, Read about, because most rehabilitation centers have like a church program as well. So you gain a sense of spiritual teaching. And then you also given ample time with a counselor. So there's the physical relaxation, there's also the spiritual teaching, and then there's also the counseling. So it's like a threefold process where, and then generally after maybe 3 to 4 months, you come out feeling refreshed, feeling more focused, because 3 months is not a short time. You get to really think about where you are at that point in time, what you want for your future, and what kind of plans you need to make so that you do not regress. And medication can also be one of the options, because if it gets to a point where it's just difficult for you to deal with your stressors, medicine has been made so that it eases the burden on your mind. Even though medicine is seen as not something people take willingly, it might even seem a bit shameful. But the most important thing in mental health is you. You're always number one. So mental recovery in mental health is a selfish process. You can share whatever you're feeling. Let's say you tell a friend and they make fun of you or they don't understand. Usually that would make you feel even worse, and then it becomes like a vicious cycle. But if you're selfish about it, if whatever you're getting from this person is negative, then it's better you just cut them off. It might hurt right now, but it's better that you don't get hurt even more in the future. That's for institutions. Another self coping mechanism would be just exercise, like at least 30 minutes, so that when you exercise or when you get your blood pumping, your body produces energy, I mean, not energy, adrenaline, adrenaline and other feel good hormones. And it has this effect of literally clearing your head, because your blood is pumping even to your head. It's actually a bit more difficult to feel like you're stressed, because your body is basically manifesting all that energy outside. And then when you're done, you take a shower, you feel refreshed, yeah? And you also feel like you can think more clearly. So at least 30 minutes, like workout to a good sweat, generally will do wonders for your day, either early in the morning or late in the evening, because exercise helps you think. Because when you exercise, your mind is not necessarily blank, but let's say you're thinking of something that is a bit stressful and you're running. You see, you'll end up running, running, and running, and then by the time you're done, whatever that thought you were having, it's also kind of done at that point, because you've exhausted the energy you've used physically and mentally. You've thought about it until it's gotten to a point where even if you don't have a solution, you've thought it out. It's not just disturbing you anymore. So that's what I have. Unless Beulah has more coping mechanisms.
I think I would say the encouragement make sure that you're not waiting until your point and you feel wah ni mzigo. It's that you're doing the little things every day that keep you healthy. So actually the conversation is more on what are those two things that make sure you're healthy. So as Ken has touched on, exercise, doing the things that make you feel alive, that give you joy, your nature, music, dancing, making sure diet yako iko poa, because again there are missing certain nutrients can actually affect your mood in certain ways. So what's going on kwa diet? What's going on in your social life? Are you all about work and then you're not balancing it out with making sure you have places to chill out? What's going on pia in your finances? Because again, it becomes a big area of stresses, and sometimes it's just a matter of learning whether hapa nafaa kulearn kujipanga hivi. So actually the goal would be to learn to put these two practices in every day: ku budget, kukula fiti, ku exercise, ku do something that makes you feel nice, kucheza even if you're an adult, hide behind mtoi wa neighbor if you have to, but like at least make sure there's something that makes you smile, something that makes you laugh, so that by the time vitu's in a pile up, you've been dealing, And so it makes you even stronger, more resilient when the one that feels kubwa and overwhelming comes. You already have a base ya kwanzia in terms of how to take care of yourself. Your self-care is already somewhere. So now you're just now perhaps engaging with a professional to now help or give insight into the things that you need more help to understand. Hii imetoka wapi, mbona na function hivi, and what more can I keep doing? Yeah.
Wow. I hope you guys have been able to understand now. If you get yourself in a stressful position, what can you do? Or what other things that maybe you had no idea about that you can do and help you just relax. And I know when we began this show, we mentioned that we offer free counseling. And I want one of them because they are our professionals here. And they're the ones who, when you come, you'll be able to see. I want one of them to elaborate and tell us more about this, what you're doing for the community.
Okay, so thank you so much, Penina. What we are doing is that we are offering a free counseling services, and the purpose of this is just to promote the mental well-being among the youth. And when you are talking about the youth, our focus age bracket is from 11 to 34 years. So if you are out there at home, we are always here in Saika. So this is where we do our free counseling services. We are working in partnership with this amazing organization. It's called Simiyu. So it's a German organization that is really helping us help so many youth out there. So currently our program is ongoing. We usually meet on Tuesdays and on Thursdays at St. Michael's. So St. Michael's Church is just here in Saika. So we from 9 to 11 a.m. we are meeting there. So once you join us, there we'll be able to have a group therapy with you. After the group therapy, that is when we can really be in a position to assess whether you need an individual therapy or your issues are sorted at a group level. So basically that is what we do. Other than that, we're also doing mentorship in schools. So we visited like close to 7 schools so far. And we've really had an amazing mental awareness sessions with the youth. Those who are doing their exams, they have just finished their KCSE recently. So we are hopeful that we are going to interact more with them. So all of us here, we are the professionals that you will meet on the ground, and we would really like to welcome you to what we are doing.
So if maybe somebody has a question, how can they get to you? Like, is there a phone number that they can call?
Okay, so how you can get to us? First of all, we will really like if you visited our office. Like I've mentioned, our office are just here in Saika.
Mm-hmm.
We are working from Monday to Friday. That is from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then also, if you want to kindly call us, if you want to contact us, kuna wenye wanatumia reverse call hapo. So our number is 0700 35 22 50. So our number is 0700 35 22 50. And if you call, I'll be the person you will talk to. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for you guys taking your time to come and enlighten us more on matters mental health. And I'm sure that we have been able to learn so much on this conversation. And I hope it's something that you'll continue doing, because I understand mental health is something that you just don't speak about it once, but it's a work in progress. So you have to keep on working on it every single day. So thank you so much, viewers, for staying tuned to this show, and for also, because I know you've been informed and you've gotten to learn something new today. And before I thank you, kabisa, or I finish the show, I would like to send my vote of thanks to everyone who has been part of this show, making it successful. Benjamin and Robert behind the cameras. We've had our timekeeper Ace, and also Mercy. Thank you so much for being the director of the show in behind the scenes. Asanteni sana for making this show a success, and for you, our viewers, for staying with us since we started here the show today. And najua imekuwa kind of a lot of discussion and so many information that you guys need, which is helpful for yourself. So thank you for always tuning into Younib Breakfast Show every single morning to ensure that you get your daily dose of inspiration and also education and information. So until next time, I want to send to you love and all positivity today. So when you're going to work or you're doing anything that you do every single day, I hope that today you are there to be able to inspire somebody. And if you see a friend of yours who has a problem or an issue about mental health, utamsaidia, because now you're more equipped and more informed on the matters mental health. So until next time, do have a beautiful day ahead. Goodbye.